Hello, my name is Ezekiel, and I'm the founder of Animal Communication Singapore. I have been an animal communicator for nearly 12 years, and over the years, I have had the privilege of building the largest academy for animal communication in both Singapore and Thailand. Our academy is dedicated to training individuals to become skilled and ethical animal communicators, equipping them with the knowledge, techniques, and mindset needed to connect deeply with animals and to serve them with integrity. It is truly an honor to be here with all of you today, speaking to an audience from all the way across the world in Brazil. The ability to share knowledge and wisdom across borders is something that I deeply value. And I'm always grateful for the technologies that make it possible for us to connect in this way. No matter where we are in the world, we are united by a shared purpose, the desire to better understand and communicate with animals in an ethical and responsible way. Today, we will explore one of the most important aspects of animal communication, that is ethics and intentions. Now, as practitioners, our role extends beyond simply interpreting messages from the animals. We hold a responsibility to ensure that our interactions are grounded in integrity, respect, as well as purpose. Animal communication is a profound practice that bridges the gap between species, fostering deeper understanding and mutual respect. However, without ethical grounding, clear intentions, miscommunication, misinterpretation, or even harm can occur. So today we will discuss why ethics and intention matters and how we can align ourselves with a responsible and heart-centered approach. So let's talk about this thing called the power of intention. Before we begin any session, we must always ask ourselves, what is our intention? Are we coming into this space with a genuine desire to listen and to serve? Or are we unintentionally bringing in personal biasness as well as expectations? Intentions will help us to set the tone for every interaction. When we approach animal communication with a heart-centered mindset, free of ego, we can create an environment where the animals feel safe to share with us. Animals are just like humans. They will be able to sense when they are being respected, and this will open this door for us to have deeper and more meaningful exchanges. Our responsibility is really not to control or impose, but to listen and to honor their voice. Intention extends beyond just the immediate communication. What do we hope to achieve for the animals and their human companions? Are we here to facilitate healing, provide guidance, or merely just to satisfy curiosity? Having a clear and ethical purpose ensures that our work remains in service to the highest good of all that is involved. So let's talk more about this ethical foundation that we need to have in our practice. So the ethical aspect of our work is just as vital as being intuitive as we are, okay? As animal communicators, we must recognize that our practice comes with profound responsibility, not only to the animals we communicate with, but also to their human companions. Ethics will provide this framework that keep our work respectful, truthful, and beneficial for all that is involved. So what are some of the things that we want to take note of? Number one, respecting free will. Let me repeat that for you. Number one, respecting free will. Just as we won't force a human to share personal thoughts, we must respect an animal's choice to communicate. Or maybe they don't want to communicate. Every animal has its own personality, their comfort level, as well as their willingness to engage. Some of them may be open and eager, while others may be a bit more hesitant or unwilling. So we must always seek permission before we engage in conversations, and we must also learn to respect the response that we receive from the animals. So, what are some of the practical tips? Before you start a session, take a moment to mentally or verbally ask the animal for permission. Observe their body language or any shift to let us know their willingness to engage in a conversation with us. Now, number two, maintaining confidentiality. Number two, maintaining confidentiality. Now, when an animal shares personal thoughts or emotions, it should be treated with the same respect as any private conversations. Just because an animal guardian is present doesn't mean that every detail shared must be disclosed. Sometimes, messages from an animal are meant for you to hear, and it is up to us to discern whether is it appropriate to relay it to the owners. Confidentiality will help to foster trust and ensure that the animal that you're speaking with feels safe to open up. So what are some of the practical tips that I can share with you? If an animal shares something that is deeply personal, you may want to check in with them before you relay the message to their owners. Use discretion and phrase your information in a way that maintains this trust and respect. Number three, learn to avoid assumptions and projections. Number three, learn to avoid assumptions and projections. One of the biggest challenges in animal communication is separating what we received from what we think we received. It's easy to let personal emotion, biasness, or experience color our interpretations. True communication requires neutrality, deep listening, and allowing the message to come true as purely as possible. We must be cautious about interpreting messages in ways that confirms our own beliefs and desire. So what are some of the practical tips that I like to do? I like to keep a journal of my sessions, and I will review them over time. I will also like to review and reflect on what I may have inserted in. What are the assumptions? And moving forward, how do I change my approach accordingly? Okay, so it's like a lot of self-reflection work. Now, number four, not overstepping professional boundaries. Number four, not overstepping professional boundaries. Now, as animal communicators, our role is to facilitate understanding, not to diagnose medical condition, prescribe treatment, or replace veterinarian and behavioral advice. Now, while we can provide insights into an animal's emotional or energetic state, any concern that's related to health, diet, or behavior should be referred to qualified professionals. Overstepping these boundaries can lead to misinformation and potentially harm the animal. So, if a guardian starts to ask you for medical advice, kindly remind them that you are not a vet and recommend that they consult a medical professional for medical concerns that they may have. Number 5, providing truthful and responsible guidance. Now, it is tempting to want to share only messages that bring comfort or reassurance. But as communicators, we must uphold the truth. Sometimes an animal may express something that is difficult for the guardian to hear. In such cases, it is our responsibility to relay the information with sensitivity and clarity while avoiding exaggeration or unnecessary alarm. Remember, our role is to serve as a conduit for the animal's voice, not to tell people what they want to hear. So what is my advice for you? If you receive a difficult message from an animal, practice framing it in a very compassionate way that remains honest while being supportive to the guardian. All right? Number 6, continued professional and personal development. Now, ethical communication is not just about what we do in a session. It's also about how we grow as practitioners. Expanding our knowledge, refining our skills, engaging in self-reflections. These are some of the activities that allow us to improve our practice. Learn to seek mentorship if possible. You have a very good Ricardo teacher in Brazil. So if you don't have a mentor, please reach out to him, ask to be mentored, okay? Other than being mentored, it's also good to participate in workshops, deepen your understanding of animal behavior, energy work, and ethical considerations. Now, all this will help you to become a better animal communicator. So if I am you, I will set a goal to at least attend one workshop or professional training every year so that I can continue to expand my knowledge and continue to refine my skill. All right? So, as we deepen our practice, we must also recognize that ethical animal communication is not just a static skill. Okay? It's a lifelong journey of learning and refinement. The more we commit to growth, the better we can serve both the animals as well as their human companions. However, knowledge and training alone is not enough. We must also cultivate a mindset that ensures that each communication session is conducted with integrity, neutrality, and as well as respect. So to achieve this, I like to follow a structure that keeps us aligned with our ethical and intentional communication practice. I call this the anchor mantra. All right? So this anchor mantra starts with an A. So what does A stands for? A is what we call your awareness. Remember, awareness is the foundation for ethical animal communication. So this includes self-awareness, situational awareness, as well as the awareness of the animal's emotion, their body language, as well as their response. An animal communicator who is not fully present or emotionally distracted may misinterpret the messages, and these could lead to inaccurate conclusions. Awareness means you recognize that we might be influenced by our own personal emotions or even external factors. And we need to ensure that we approach each session with clarity and focus. So, what are some of the things that you can do? Now, before starting a session, I like to engage in mindful activities such as deep breathing, grounding, or even short meditations. This will help to center your energy and clear away any distraction that could interfere with your communication process. I also like to observe the animal's physical or emotional state before I start to initiate a conversation with them. Take note of the signs such as discomfort, restlessness, or maybe relaxation as well, because these will give you very crucial information when you start to engage the animal in a conversation. Okay? So after we have awareness, the next thing that you want to have is this thing called neutrality. Okay? Neutrality. So what does neutrality means? Neutrality means approaching each session with an open mind, free from personal assumptions, judgments, or emotional attachments. It is very easy to project our own desires or interpretation onto what we received. But by doing so, you will compromise the authenticity of the message. True neutrality allows us to serve as a clear channel, accurately conveying what the animal wants to express, rather than what we expect or hope to hear. So what are some of the things that I like to do? After every session, I like to take some time to reflect on my own interpretation. You can ask yourself if your own emotion may have influenced your understanding of the message. You can also, like what I mentioned earlier, keep a journal of your session, and this can help you to track the patterns and can help you to improve the objectivity. Now, if you find yourself emotionally invested in an animal situation, learn to take a step back and remind yourself that your role is to listen and to facilitate, not to control or to impose solutions. Okay? So after neutrality, the third thing is consent. Seeking consent from an animal is an essential ethical practice. Just as how we respect human boundaries, we must also respect an animal's willingness to engage. Some animals may not be ready to communicate, while others may share selective information. So if you accidentally ignore their boundaries, it can create distrust and discomfort for the animals. So what do I like to do? Before beginning a session, I like to mentally or verbally ask the animal for permission to connect to them. And as usual, I would pay attention to any physical or energetic cues, such as maybe a shift in their posture. Are they turning away, or are they showing signs of relaxation? All these indications are part of their response. Now, if an animal seems hesitant or unwilling, do not force the communication on them. Instead, give them time and try again later. or simply just respect their choice not to engage them at that moment. Okay? Now, when we talk about H, we talk about humility. Humility is about acknowledging that we are facilitators. We are not the authorities. Animals have their own wisdom, their own experiences, as well as their own perspectives. And we are merely just interpreters of their message. So approaching an animal communication session with humility ensures that we'll listen without arrogance, and we remain open to learning. And we have to accept that we do not always have all the answers. So what do I like to do? Treat each communication session as a learning opportunity. Let me repeat that for you. Treat every communication session as a learning opportunity. Be willing to admit when you do not understand something, and be comfortable to ask the animal for clarification rather than making assumptions. Also, avoid imposing personal beliefs onto the messages that you have received. Instead, allow the animal's unique personality and experience to guide the session. Okay, what does O stands for? Open-hearted intention. Having an open heart means communicating with sincerity, compassion, and genuine care. Animals are incredible, perceptive to energies and emotions, and they respond best to those who approach them with kindness and respect. Open-hearted intention ensures that your communication remain a sacred and meaningful exchange, rather than just an exercise to get some information from the animal. Okay? So before every session, I would suggest to you to set an intention of respect and service. Remind yourself that your purpose is to be a vessel for the animal's voice and to serve their highest good. Learn also to cultivate empathy and patience. Some animals might just take a little bit longer to share, or they may communicate in ways that are unfamiliar to you. So being patient and compassionate helps you to build the trust, and it also encourages deeper exchanges. All right, so we covered awareness, we covered neutrality, we talked about consent, humility, and open-hearted intentions. And the last R is what I like to call your responsibility. With the privilege of communicating with animals comes the responsibility of ethical practice. This includes being truthful in the messages that we relay, maintaining your professional integrity, and continuously reflecting on our skills and the methods that we used. A responsible animal communicator understands the impact of their words and actions and ensure that they do not cause harm, mislead, or overstep their roles. So what do I like to do? I like to engage in self-evaluation and also to seek feedback from the clients. Constructive criticism and continued learning help us to refine our skills and maintain ethical standards. Remember, when you're relaying messages to the guardian, you have to be very mindful of how this information is presented. Always communicate with honesty, but in a way, it's supportive, it's constructive, and free of unnecessary fears or worries. Okay? So by incorporating this anchor framework that I just spoke with you about, we can help to ensure that our animal communication session remains ethical, intentional, and meaningful. This practice not only strengthens our integrity as an animal communicator, but it also fosters deeper trust and connections between us, the animals, as well as the human companions. Now, let me close it up. Remember, animal communicator, to be able to communicate with animal is a gift, but it is also a responsibility. Each time we enter this sacred space, we have the power to bring healing, clarity, and understanding, not just to the animals, but to their human companions as well. So when we anchor ourselves in ethical awareness and pure intention, we will elevate the work that we do and strengthen the trust that is placed in us. So as we move forward, let's continue to uphold these ethical principles and set our intention with care. Let us also remember that our role is not just to communicate, but to honor, to respect, and also to uphold the sacred bond between humans and animals. With this, I would like to wrap up my lecture. I'm Ezekiel, I'm from Singapore, and I hope to speak to you again soon. In the meantime, take care, and I wish you all the best in your animal communication journey. Bye-bye.